Hello again, YouTubers. This is Mitch with Str8Vapes, and today I'm going to show you how to do my favorite mod on the CE4 clearomizer, or Stardust, and that is reducing the restrictions in the cup seal up here. Helps improve vapor production, helps to improve your flavor, and this is what we're going to be modifying today. Now, when you take apart your rebuildable or even your not rebuildable one, I'll show you how to take a not rebuildable one apart after I finish with the actually modifying the cup seal here. The cup seal sits right on top of the coil and wick assembly like that, and all the vapor that you're drawing goes through that little hole there, and that just doesn't seem like the best passageway for that. So you see that little steel tube thing there? It's not doing anything. I haven't had any leaks taking this out. It just pops right out of there. Just push on the top and kind of pinch it out. And then you're left with this. And even this gives you a lot better flow than with the steel tip in there. You'll notice a difference like this. If you don't want to go any further, then you know, if you're not comfortable with it, don't do the next procedure, because if you only have one of these, you could end up damaging the cup seal, and then you're going to have a pretty much unusable clearomizer, and that's no good. But basically what I'm going to modify this with is just a big old honkin' pair of kitchen shears, because that's what I picked up, and I'm pretty confident I can do it with these. Basically, what you want to do is you want to just pinch it so the inside of it, see if I can get this closer, kind of folds out. If you're using scissors, you can use a knife. If you're lucky enough to have a punch set available with you, which I have a set at the mechanic shop that I actually did my the second cup seal on, and that works great because it gives you a perfect cup seal when you're done. You don't want to take too much material off of this either, because then you won't be able to seal it up against the mouthpiece, and you might get a leak like that. But it's not too hard, honestly. If you don't take all the material off of the top here, like I'm going to try to do, then it still opens up the passage, and it still makes a good seal against the mouthpiece, so it's not going to leak, and you're still going to get better vapor and better taste and all that. So I'm going to get cutting here. Just pinch it together, kind of find a good position to bite down on, and snip. And of course, you know, using scissors, it's not going to be super precise, but you can make it look pretty good. Just about anything. Silicone's really easy to cut into. It's not real forgiving if you do damage it. I'd imagine you could actually use some silicone from a caulk tube or a project kit or something like that to kind of close up any nicks or something that you don't want there. But nicks like I have on the top of mine there, I know my video camera is not the greatest, so you might not be able to see them. Those aren't going to be all that important because of how I'm going to put this on the tip of my thing. I've got a little bit more to clean up here, if you just bear with me. I'm a little bit OCD about stuff like this, so it might take me a little bit longer to do a mod than somebody else, but I've never done a mod half-assed, as it were. I've actually made myself a couple electronic cigarettes back in the day when I was first vaping, and they all turned out pretty good. A little bit overbuilt. One of them my friend still uses. It just plugs in. I used a AC to DC transformer, and it's just in a little project box. The thing vapes like a champ, but still got the original atomizer on there too. It hasn't burnt out in 2 years. But basically, you end up with your silicone cup seal looking kind of like a little mini tube. And now the part that you cut, I always put that down over the wicks like that. Just because it's uneven and down by the wicks, it doesn't need to make a perfect seal like it does up at the where you put the mouthpieces. And the mouthpiece will just press down once it's in there, once it's perfectly lined up in your clearomizer, and it'll make a seal right around the edge, just like it did. It just doesn't have that extra material in the center there blocking everything ridiculously. And another thing about these clearomizers, when you're cleaning them, make sure you take the top 2 wicks out of it if you're doing the rebuildable clearomizers like I do. I love them. And I always look down in there, kind of just pull the wicks and the coils to the side. I've used this one a couple times. You can see there's a couple spots where it got a little toasty. Wicks are still completely fine to use, but what I like to do is I like to just slide those wicks just so those toasty spots are off the coil, just so there's not really any chance that they're going to affect the flavor at all. The inside of the wicks aren't burnt, or else it just wouldn't be flexible like that in the middle. So I'm confident that I'm going to still get plenty of juice on there, especially with these. I like to call them soaker wicks. Basically, what I believe their purpose is to draw more liquid on top of the actual coil there. And eventually, when these wicks that are in the coil burn out, I'll just put those 2 extra wicks through the coil. Either threading a needle or, however I figure out I'm going to do it, but 2 wicks fit in there and they're a little loose, so it's got to be pretty easy. Now then, after you have those on there, you want to put your new cup seal on there. Just kind of slide that on there and leave it hanging off a bit. The reason I like to do that is when you push your mouthpiece on there and screw it on there, the mouthpiece will push this down to the perfect position to make a good seal, both where the wicks go into the actual coil assembly and where the mouthpiece is touching the seal. And then I just take the I don't even know what you'd call this. I didn't look at the diagram they provided with their technical names, but I like to call this the center assembly. Just screw that on there. This little O-ring seems to have moved up when I removed it, so I'll go ahead and put that back down there. Check for any residual water just so it doesn't have a chance to short out your battery when you put it on there. And then, yep, here's the little tank part of it. Just slide that on there, and since I moved the wicks, one side's going to be a little bit longer than the other, and you can see it kind of wants to go past that O-ring seal. You don't want that to stay there when you're putting it on, so what I like to do is just put my fingers there and twist, and the wicks will kind of twist up there, and see how the wicks aren't really all the way at the bottom anymore. I'll just twist backwards to kind of release them from the walls of the clearomizer and screw it on there, and it's ready for its mouthpiece. Now I'll try to hold this steady while I do this, but you can see the mouthpiece just goes on the seal like that, and you just push it down until you can start screwing that in, and there, that's screwed in, that's all assembled. Now you can fill it up before you do that, but I like to push it down first because it is a little bit beveled up here, and if you leave that cup seal up as high as it was, it's going to be really hard to get e-liquid down here, and you don't want to get e-liquid down the center post, or you don't want to get much down there because it can leak on the battery, it can flood the coil, and yeah, this just gives you a little bit more space to fill it up with. So I'm going to go ahead and put some Hangsen apple. This is from Northwest Vapors. I know I've done a lot of Northwest Vapors products, but that's just because I got my Kagos there, and both my Kago purchases, I did the whole $50 for the free expedited shipping, so I have a lot of their products right now. And I am enjoying a lot of their products. Apple, it's a pretty good apple. You'll see in the review for it. You know, I haven't actually done the review yet, but I'll probably give it 4.5 stars. I've vaped quite a bit of this already. It's fall, and it kind of reminds me of apple cider, and I like apple cider, especially in the fall. But we're just filling this up like that. I don't think I'm gonna get this too full, just because I might want to do another liquid review after I finish this apple, if I do it this evening. And you know, if I mess up anywhere in the video, I do apologize. I can't redo the video just because I don't have another cup seal. And oh boy, I'm running out of time too. And that is how, I guess I just showed you how to refill one of these two, or at least the way that I do. I've got my pass-through right here. I always lock my pass-through whenever I'm doing the liquids and everything, because if I'm rushing things, I might forget to check for water, and if this is locked, I don't risk shorting it out. And I think my pass-through might be dead, so I'll grab my 1100 real quick. I've still got a couple minutes. Alright, well, it looks like my 1100 either isn't charged or the locking mechanism doesn't want to work on that either. So you'll just have to see me vape this apple when I do my apple review for the Hangsen e-liquid. But I do want to show you before I go, this is the non-rebuildable Stardust or CE4 clearomizer, and this is the rebuildable. The rebuildable is a little bit taller because it has an extra section. But how you take one of these apart, I just screw it on my Kago battery, and that center part just kind of wiggles out of the tank, and of course the mouthpiece comes off. There's no removable atomizer here. The wick, this is actually a wick from a Blue Sig cartomizer, because this kind of got burnt out on me and I replaced the coil myself. I don't recommend doing that, because you can damage a battery if you don't know what you're doing. But I might do a video on how to make a custom cartomizer or atomizer, or even a tankomizer at a later date. I've done a couple of those for friends. I myself prefer to vape something that that I can pull apart and just, you know, screw stuff together, because I get paid to make those tankomizers for people and I don't get paid to rebuild them for myself. But anyways, I'm about out of time, so that is how to do the cup seal mod on the CE4 Stardust. I will see y'all soon.